Juicer.
Yeah, we are live, just so you know. Um, okay. Um,
Juicer.
oh, yeah, we are live, just so you know. Um, okay. I hope we can cut out the start from the from the recording. Uh,
Definitely.
I don't think we have any viewers yet, so let's just wait for a bit. Anyway, you were saying about you were talking about that tool where you
Wop wop.
can the GitHub thing. We can just script
Yeah,
for you.
it's very strange. I'll show you sometime. I'll show you what I
Mm-hmm.
what I did. I've got the notes from that one. That was definitely one of my examples where you didn't have to go to the session. You get all the
Oh yeah,
links.
yeah.
And, and there was one session that gave me the inspiration where it was 50 links in 50 minutes, like 50 government useful government databases in the States in
Mm-hmm.
50 minutes. And although they did it with sort of wit, and there were two of them, they basically read out their own handout for 50 minutes.
Oh.
So you really didn't need to be there. They were very nice people, but you didn't need to be there.
Yeah, and I think it could be. I think it could be even like not only a QR code, but just like a pretty like some I'm thinking of postcards, but it's not something you send in
Mm.
a post, maybe.
Well, I think I might have shown you. I do a thing where, when that bit where you start a session and you're about 10 minutes in and people come in and say, oh, could you show me the link to the exercise or whatever?
Yeah.
And it's on slide 1 and you've got to go back from slide
Mm-hmm.
5. So I realized that kept happening. So I made a whole load of little like business card things, and they have a QR code and a bit.ly link to
Mm-hmm.
the exit. And so the room helper, just if somebody comes in late, they just hand them that and they say, we're on slide 4.
Oh,
And
that's
they
amazing.
and it's just so simple. And now I do it every time.
Nice. We already have viewers. There are
How
24
many?
people. So welcome, everybody who's watching. My name is Ada, and with me is Jonathan. We're gonna wait for another 4 minutes. Feel free to toss something in the chat. Um, in the meantime, uh, questions to us, or there is a question already from Rasmus. When will you begin? Well, we're beginning soon. Somebody really wants. I'm happy to see this level of excitement for Excel. Thank you, Rasmus. Um, yeah, you can put questions into chat at any time. Hello, Miriam. You can put questions to chat at any time. I will try and monitor that. Sometimes I won't address your questions straight away, but we'll do our best to address them at least at the end of everything. Also, this is super new for us, so I hope everything goes well. We are absolutely no YouTube streaming regulars, but yeah,
But
um,
we will be.
but we will be. Thank you, Jonathan. Yeah. Oh, Erasmus loves Excel. Oh, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. Yeah, we are also very happy to share with you these methods. I mean, we've been sharing. Hey, Freya. Freya was with us as well. Yeah. say hi to us in the chat. We love to see that. Yeah, we've been sharing these methods, me and Jonathan, with our colleagues for how many years now, Jonathan?
Me, 14.
14.
Hmm.
Wow. Well, I've been also teaching quite some. I think I've been teaching since I started doing journalism actually, because that's been already 10 years as well. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So how many people have we got? People have to know that I can't see the YouTube stream. I'm just looking at my screen. But how many so far, or roughly?
We have 50 people
Okay,
watching
it's
now.
probably enough time to start.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, let's do it. We have also a slight lag onto the stream, just so you know. I think about 10 seconds. So if we
Hmm.
ask a question and it takes some time before it reaches people. And yeah, I hope the quality is not too bad. I see myself very pixelated on the screen, but we'll see that after the facts. Okay, let's get started. Um, so just very quick introductions. I'm Adriana Homolova, and I am a data journalist, a freelance data journalist and trainer, working with Arena for Journalism on the Data Harvest conference. And with me is Jonathan Stoneman.
I'm I'm with Arena. I do the climate conference and data harvest, and I help run the Arena Academy, which means training like this, which is why one of the reasons we're doing this experiment. And I've
Yeah.
been doing. I train journalists in other places. I've been doing that for 15 years, of which 14, you can work out the percentage, is has been data.
Yeah, and we are very happy to share with you the session, this series of 4 sessions. This one will be on Excel. Next one will be on Google Sheets, which is nearly the same, a little bit different. And then we'll do one on Python and one on R. Obviously, you cannot learn Python or R just from watching those, but we will give you some starting points and a showcase of how we use that. Um, a little bit of practicalities. If you don't understand anything that's happening at the moment, please write us in the chat, write us a comment. Can you repeat that? I didn't understand that. That's what we're here for as well, for you to understand. If you have a bit of a larger question, like if you want to ask some question to the data, we might do that at the end, or if you have other questions, we'll do that at the end. So we'll keep those questions to the end, so you just know that we see them. If we don't get to address them at all, like we try to do so. If not, we will try to do it in a different way. So um,
And we'll make
now,
the data.
mhm,
Sorry, we'll make the data
yeah,
available in the description later, so that if you want to look at the data yourself, you'll be able to download it and repeat some of what we've done for yourself.
yes, thank you. I forgot about that. Okay, I said let's get to it. That's why you're here, right? Not to hear us talk. So I will switch now to the view of Jonathan's Excel sheets. And hello and welcome to everybody who's been joining us. So in Jonathan, could you shortly explain the data set that we're looking at?
So this is from the European Environment Agency. They publish a lot of data, some of it very friendly, some of it hard to use. This is one of the easier ones, and it's every facility in Europe, and that includes the EU plus the wider Europe. Iceland is in here, Serbia, I think Bosnia may have some stuff in here. Not further east than the Polish border, not further south than the bottom of Italy. And every facility that is registered as producing something, could be a farm, it could be a brewery, steelworks, chemical works, all sorts of things, waste management works, sewage farms and that kind of thing, are in here. And any pollutant they release is measured in kilos, and they give an annual total. It's usually worked out from the process they do. In other words, if you're a brewery, somebody knows that a brewery will produce so many kilos of CO2 every year for every 1,000 liters of beer it makes, and so on. Some of the super new ones have upgraded their plants, and so they want to be observed, not calculated. We don't have that column, I think, in this data, but you can sometimes see the ones that are actually asking the EEA to say exactly how much they produce rather than just guessing based on what they make. And so we have various columns in a spreadsheet. This is slightly reduced. Well, it's reduced in size because it's just a lot of data. But even this one, if I click on column A, is 24,000 entries. The original is 10 times that. It's just a bit too much that it would maybe break Excel when we're live on here. But you can do the same with 240,000 as you can with 24,000.
All right. So, as journalists, we do different sort of data analysis than different than researchers in universities or think tanks or NGOs. We're looking for scoops, right? So there's a bit of a different way of approaching Excel analysis, but
Yeah,
it's
we want the big ones. We want the exceptional ones.
yeah,
The data scientists want the average, and they want to see the pattern. We want to see the outlier, the guy that's the worst in the world or the best in the world, or the biggest release of cyanide in the world.
true. But at the same time, I think that the context is very important for everything we do. So and data can give us both, and it's obviously not always the whole story. But in this case, like we're looking into chemicals, and we're looking into chemicals into water. So Jonathan, let's say I'm a reporter and I'm reporting on pollution, and I want to know about those really nasty things. Those forever chemicals, those PFASs
Mm,
and cyanides, and they release into water. And let's say
right.
I would first like to know, like, who is the biggest?
Okay. Well, with the biggest, all we need to do is we'll find the one which gives the quantity, and that is emissions. The column emissions is in kilos, and we can just sort it. So if I click on the data ribbon and choose the filter button, every column gets a drop down, and I can simply say, okay, give me largest to smallest. So there we go. And we find that in the worst one in 2016, so it's the worst of all in the years that are in this data, was some release of chlorides into water near Scalino, and it was Nuova Solmine
Oh.
in Italy.
Mm-hmm. All right, and this is chloride, right? Do
Just
we have if we want to look at mercury, for example, how would
okay.
we?
So we use a
Mm.
filter. So we use the same drop down, and here we can simply say, well, we can do one with the search and just put in the word mercury, and there it is. But to be absolutely sure, you see that's got capital M and it says mercury and compounds. But I'm going to be a little surer than that and use the text filter. So if it's got the word mercury anywhere in the sentence, I'm going to put contains. So I'll have mercury. And if I
Mm.
don't put capital letter, it doesn't look for either. It will accept capital M or small m.
I
So I do
think
that.
Jonathan. Okay, yeah, it hasn't been sharing your window that popped up Maybe you need to
Oh,
go a bit
okay.
slower. Mm.
Okay, that's a pity. Anyway, so I've described how to do that. So I used that. I wonder if I can do the whole window. Shall I just try to make it? Just a moment. Let's see if I can do a whole
I
window.
mean, the pop-up came, but it
Oh,
came
I
a bit
see. Oh, it did come,
later.
but not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it
Okay,
came a bit later. You're also lagging just a tiny bit there.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Okay, so we got Mercury now. And down the bottom, we can see at the very bottom of the screen, I hope you can see,
Yeah.
569
If you look
records.
in the left bottom of everything, I'm not sure if it's big enough or whether the resolution is enough.
I can't make that any bigger, but I can make
Please
the
let
rest of it
us
a bit bigger.
know if you can see that. Wait, that's really big. That's good, I
Okay,
think.
is that better or too good?
It's a bit too big, I think, but
Okay, how about that?
yeah, that's
Okay, so
perfect.
569 of these guys have reported Mercury in various years
Mm-hmm.
uh, of the data.
Mm-hmm. So can we sort on anything else? It's big enough, Ateska says. So
Mhm.
thank you.
Well,
Uh, yeah.
we could look and see in the most recent year in the data. If I
Oh yeah.
use the pop up the filter again, but this time on the year, the
Mm-hmm.
most recent year is 2022. And now we can see who was the worst in 2022 because we go to column with emissions in it and
Mm-hmm.
sort largest to smallest. And that's only 13 kilos. But that year, it was somebody again in Italy called Marche Multiservizi,
Mm-hmm.
installation for the disposal of non-hazardous waste.
Mm-hmm.
So it
So
doesn't
let's.
sound very hazardous to me, but there you
Sorry.
go. Doesn't sound very non-hazardous when it's got mercury in it, and that was Italy.
Italy. I see Italy popping up there like three
Mm,
times in the top five.
interesting.
Yeah. And if you go
It could
further
it could
north.
mean that they're just very good at recording it, and other people are not as polite. Maybe other people don't
Maybe.
talk about their mercury.
Mm-hmm.
Could be they're really honest.
Mm-hmm. Is there any other interesting sorting that we can do here, filtering?
Well,
Maybe if we.
combination. So we could say,
Mm-hmm.
well, we've now got the most recent years. So it's filtered at 2022. We're
Mm-hmm.
looking at Mercury, that other one,
Mm-hmm.
and we could say, well, now let's ignore Italy. So I go to the country name, and from the drop down, I untick Italy. So I'll just say, okay, we know Italy's quite bad. Let's see who else was involved. So everybody except Italy.
Oh yeah.
Ah,
Wow.
much more limited. Much more limited. So a little bit of Denmark, Germany, Spain, Finland, so on. Only 16 entries.
Mm-hmm.
And if I go back to the worst, it was
I
this
think it
guy.
was. Yeah.
And that was Portugal. And
Mm-hmm.
again, waste and wastewater management, urban waste treatment plant. So they reported for a whole year only 10 kilos, but actually mercury is so dense. Think how much 10 kilos would look like and how poisonous that is.
Yeah.
The mercury is horribly poisonous
Mm.
and you can't get rid of it. It's very pretty, but it's not nice.
Yeah. So I think this covers very much the basics. Um maybe we
I
can
suppose
go. Mhm.
there's one other thing I could do just to show you the other basics. So by sorting and filtering, but this time let's imagine we put Italy back in. Well, let's not imagine, let's do it. In fact, just choose Italy down there. So now we will have all the Italians in 2022. And if I just highlight those numbers, it will tell me at the bottom that the total is 42. It automatically, just by highlighting them, it tells me there's 42 kilos, 42.1 kilos of mercury from all those Italian releases in that year.
Hmm.
2022.
Yeah, we have a question, Jonathan, and from Miriam. She asks, what is your personal rule of thumb for how many years back you should go when using data like this for a story?
I want to go as far back as possible, and I want to go as close to now as possible. This one is, unfortunately, it's not frozen. There will be more data after 2022, but it hasn't been published yet. They're very, the EEA are quite journalist friendly, so we could ask them if we were doing a real story and not just a training. But I like to have as much as possible, get lots of data and filter it down. And then you can make more judgments. You can look for patterns. You can see if this was the worst year of mercury release since, I don't know, since records began, or since 1990 or something, if you can go back that far. So I get as much as I can, and then I look for it. And it's the big changes is where something has happened. It tells you the questions to ask, like there might be one plant that is really, really bad, or 1 year which is really, really bad. So that then you want to ask somebody what happened in that year, or what happened at that plant.
So I'm curious, like the biggest polluter, right? That we
Yeah.
had from Italy. How they've been doing throughout the years?
In 2022?
No, in the on the all those other years. So if we
Oh, sorry, the
filter
other
on
years. So if
the
I open the years up again and
mm-hmm,
choose all of them, for a start, there's 116 now. This is all years. I
mm-hmm.
could sort them by smallest to largest. So that's from 2007 through to now. And we can see that, they've had some interesting years.
These are Italy, but if it's just
It's
that,
just Italy, but over the years.
no, I meant just that one installation that you had there with
Oh,
blue
which one was
flag.
that? The worst one.
Yeah, I don't know which one this is.
Let's take it. Let's do a double thing. So if I go and get that big one at 68 in
Yeah, for
2018,
example, yeah. Mm-hmm.
him. So if I go for the
The facility
the
name is
facility name is
confidential.
confidential, but but that facility has a code number, and we can look for that number. So when the facility Inspire ID, I'm copying that,
Mm-hmm.
because if I then go into the search and paste that, it's just finding that name, and it appears twice. But it's interesting. 1 year they remembered to keep it confidential, but the same place said where they were in another year. So they've made a mistake. They've hidden themselves in 2018, but in 2020 they forgot to hide themselves. So we know who they are, because that ID in column F remains the same. And this sort of thing happens a lot. They've been confidential. Oh dear, we don't know who they are. Ah, yes, we do. It's them. At their interni. And what was it? Sorry, they installation for production of pig iron or steel,
Oh yeah.
including continuous casting. So they're making iron and steel.
Mm-hmm.
I forget from my school days what pig iron is, but it's some kind of fairly crude iron that you make. And they release mercury. And they've given away their position exactly, so we could put them on a map if we
So that we
wanted to.
exactly know where they are. I'd be curious if what kind of other pollutants they actually release, Jonathan.
Oh,
How do we
let's
get to
look at them.
that?
So I'm going to keep a copy of their ID. I'm going to do something. If I switch off the filter for that, so no filters at the moment, and now I'm just going to filter by that. Oops, sorry. I'm going to apply that filter once more, but now for everything they could have released. It's looking for them, right? So there's only one, and it's them. And they have released a whole variety of things: chlorides, fluorides, zinc, copper, arsenic, cadmium, lead,
Oi.
mercury, and compounds over the various years, ranging
Nasty
from
things.
some huge number,
Yeah.
3.5 million kilos of chlorides in 2018, 2.4 million the following year, But lots of things, including the mercury that we saw in 2018 and 2020. So overall, they've produced quite a lot of stuff, and they might be a company we'd be perhaps knocking on their door or going and driving around their area. Or the first thing I'd do is I'd look them up on Google Street View and see what they look like. Is it a really old, rusty facility, or is it really new, very modern, and just they don't care what they release?
And I also would be curious, like for example, for arsenic, we only have a data point for 1 year, right?
Yes.
And why is that? Like, I don't believe that they did not release arsenic for all the other years.
Well, it's possible, but I'm like you, I'm a little bit suspicious when there's something and then nothing for all the other years.
Yeah.
And it's quite a large amount, 293 kilos in a year. It's coming up to a kilo a day. It's not far short of a kilo every day. Or it might have been one big lump in one day. When things they disappear or there's nothing, then I am a little suspicious. So I make a note of that and I go back and I look again, see what else. So what else would you like to know?
Well, we actually have a question from Atesa, and he asks, I think you mentioned this at the beginning, but he asks whether you pull all this data together in an Excel sheet, or is it already provided by the European Environmental Agency? But this data is available to everybody, right?
Yes, I downloaded it from them. I have to admit I did a little bit of tidying up for this session, but basically the same data is available to anybody, and we'll give you the link. There's a whole catalog of data you can download from the EEA all the time.
Nice.
You don't even have to be a journalist. No login, just download it.
Well, Jonathan, you probably don't believe it, but we are already nearly halfway through.
What would you like to know now?
So I would actually like to know about these larger trends in the data, right? Not only about the biggest release in the particular year, but I would like to know, like, let's take that arsenic. Arsenic also doesn't sound like a great thing to have in the water. If we would want to know which country has the most arsenic released into their waters.
Good question. So I'm going to first of all go to the filter. I've turned the filters off using this filter here, or you can clear your filter. If you click on this filter button, all those drop downs disappear. If you click it again, they reappear. So now I'm going to go to the pollutant name, which is here in column N, and I'm going to look for arsenic. I'm going to again use this contains, just in case they have it in the middle of a line. It's usually the beginning. So if I just put the word arsenic.
Could you wait for a second? Because again, the window went away too fast.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Are you still?
So,
yeah.
Yeah. So now I have got 1,191 records, which include arsenic. And the emissions there. Some of them are quite large. And we can see a variety of countries involved if I just put them in alphabetical order. So this is each time the country appears every time there's one facility that's reported for 1 year. So we've got Austria, quite a few Belgians. In fact, if I go to the top and just look, this tells me one of each. Austria, Belgium, Bulgaria, Croatia, Czechia. Most countries have some kind of arsenic release. Yeah. But there is a way, Ada, that we can get into arsenic in a more methodical way. Because we could just sit and look at all the arsenic releases, or look by country or so on. But wouldn't it be interesting to look at arsenic releases, first of all, total by country, and then total by maybe look at some of the facilities in those countries?
Yeah, I think that would be cool.
And to do that, I mean, we could do that for any pollutant, but arsenic is a really good one to look for in this case. And we could do that a boring way. We could just say, okay, let's. I've already sorted it by. I've got it filtered by arsenic. I've got it. I could look at. I've got 4 Austrian entries, and I could sort of look at that slowly. And yeah. But if I had to do that for each of the countries in this data, it would take me quite a while, and I can do it in a much quicker, much more organized way. And that's called a pivot table. So first of all, I'm going to clear my filters just in case. And I go to the Insert button at the top, Insert, and then choose Pivot Table. Now, the word pivot table is not very friendly. It's difficult to imagine what pivot means. And filter, I know what filter does. Sort, I know what sort does. Pivot, I think it means you can turn a table around. You can pivot it, turn it around an angle, but basically you can design your own table based on this table. So I put it in a new worksheet. I have no idea why I would ever want to put it into my existing worksheet. So it'll create a blank table.
Oh.
On the right, this used to panic me when I first did pivot tables. I thought I'd lost everything. But of course, my data's still there at the bottom. There's a tab called F2.4. And I've got sheet 1, which I'm going to rename pivot now so I don't get confused. I'm going to do a couple of things. I'm going to take the pollutant names and put those in the filters. And shall we? What would you like to know first about arsenic?
Does this filter work the same as the other filter?
No, completely different.
Oh.
So we'll have to. I'll show you when we get to it. When we choose that moment. It doesn't work at the top of the screen in the same way as it does in ordinary tables. Did you want to see which countries release the most arsenic, or would you like companies?
Countries.
Okay, so country name. I drag into the row.
That kind of tells us something maybe about the industry or the policies of the country, no? If we do that.
Well, we could look and see also by industry, but within those countries. But first of all, let's see the countries, and then whatever. So the first thing you do is you set up your table with what are going to be your kind of league table. People ask what goes in the rows. This is the rows. It's the thing that goes to the top or bottom of the table goes in the rows. You want to see which is the best or worst country or the biggest emitting country. So you're going to put that in the rows, just like a football league table. You don't put the names of the teams in the columns, you put them in the rows so that you can see if they're going up or down. And then the thing you want to count goes in the values, which is the box on the bottom right. And in this case, it's the column called emissions. And it automatically knows if you put numbers in, it says sum of emissions. And this is where Ada asked about the filters, and the sort doesn't work the same anymore because we're in a pivot table. For some reason, I have to right-click on any number, and then I get a menu that says sort. And I'm going to sort largest to smallest. And we can see straight away that at the moment, this is all the pollutants. But now I'm going back up to my filter, which is now just the pollutant column. It's now in a different shape. So the countries are now the rows. The total emissions is the column, single column. And then I'm going to say I want arsenic. There we go. You don't have to type the whole word. There it is. So now it's got arsenic, and we've sorted it by the highest emitter. So Italy's first, Britain second, Serbia third.
Yeah. Interesting.
Now, what you could do while you're in that kind of place is you could then ask it to break down each country and show you which facilities are in each country. This is quite good for the human eye, less good for the computer to calculate, but I'm going to put facility name underneath the country name. And now it shows me those are all the Italian ones. Lots of them. Whoa, they all release. Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah.
So then I'm going to close that and we look at the UK ones. There's all the UK ones, lots of them. And there's a little tiny plus or minus. And if I click on that, you can shut that. So I'm now looking at Serbia.
Mm-hmm.
You can see the different ones. Now, don't forget, this is all years. So there are multiple years being added together here. I could be, if I wanted to look at it more analytically, I could take the reporting year and put it in the columns. And that now shows me, I'll get rid of the facility name for now because it'll be a bit cleaner. So there is the grand total, but you can see in each year how much of that total is made up.
I mean, I see the number going up actually for Italy at least generally, except for 2013. I don't know what happened there, but I think this is largely about the reporting of this, right? It's not.
I think probably
Mm,
one of the things, yeah, yes, it could be. I mean, those ones like, how could it be that Serbia does no releases and then a lot and then
yeah.
no releases and then a few?
And then in 2020, it all explodes in Serbia.
Goes crazy. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's like the
So
third of all of them happened in that 1 year.
yeah,
More.
I always say to people I'm working with that you can see what's in the data, you don't know how it got there, so you or why it's in the data. So you need to talk to people. This is data doesn't answer all your questions, but it does provide you with new questions.
True.
Questions you can ask people. Like, so we could. Let's imagine we're now interested in Serbia's arsenic releases.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if I go to the total for all the Serbian arsenic, one of the beautiful things about a pivot table, is it beautiful? I sound like Trump now. So I'm going to double click on that number, the 9454. You won't see anything happen other than you'll hear me do a double click. I've got a very quiet mouse. You see that is all of Serbia. So it says details for sum of emissions, Serbia, pollutant arsenic. It's even made a nice little detail for me. It tells me what it's doing. And now I have a separate sheet which just has Serbia's arsenic releases. And we can see the different activities. So power stations are releasing it, open cast mining, more thermal power stations, metal ore roasting or sintering. That's a thing apparently. Open cast mining again.
Mm-hmm.
Underground mining and related operations. Any of those interest you, Ada?
I mean, I really it really tells you something about what the country looks like, right, on the inside.
So yeah,
Lix is asking if we can repeat the process to get to the detail table.
yeah. Let's do a different table, or in different detail. If I go back to the pivot, in fact, what I could do is, supposing I get rid of this whole the pollutant at this point, I'll just select all the pollutants. Oops, sorry. I'll select all the pollutants, but I'm still interested in Serbia. So I'll go over to the Serbian total. In fact, I'll get rid of the reporting years by just dragging that away. Don't worry, everything's there. So where is my Serbia total? So when you look at things in, let's just make that sort largest to smallest. Actually, as a whole, Serbia is not, it's in the top 20, but only just. So now what we did before, now I've got the whole of Serbia's, all the pollutants. So I double click on that number, and that's now a list of all the pollutants released by Serbia over all those years. So it's a very quick way of, first of all, of asking it for one country's emissions in this case. And secondly, it keeps a record, basically. I use pivot tables because it keeps a trace of what I did. Instead of me writing down, oh, I did this and I filtered this and so on. No, I now have a detail too. I can rename Serbia all. And this one is Serbia arsenic. So I have a nice sort of at the end of my working day, I have a collection of all these sheets, each one with what I've been exploring, and I just rename them. And I can drive it all from this pivot table control over here. So, for example, can I just do one thing?
Of course.
Again? Yeah, so now I'm going to put the country name in the filters. In fact, I'm taking the pollutant out, and I'm going to put the facility name in the rows. So now I'm going to take, in the country name, I'm going to use the filter and choose Serbia. So there's all the Serbian-based facilities that have been releasing everything over all those years. And if I go to the total down the bottom there and double click, that is all the emissions. It probably should look like that one, but it's arranged in a different way. This is all Serbia. Don't know why we're picking on Serbia today. All facilities.
I find it rare to find Serbia in European data. That's why I think I fixated on Serbia there.
Okay. Right, so there we are. I hope that was clear that time. Just double clicking on the number you're interested in. So even if I was interested, let's take one of these emissions sort, largest to smallest. So we now see Beogradsky vodovod I kanalizacja, so something to do with water, I think. If I double click on that, this will just be the JKP Beogradsky vodovod kanalizacja, and sure enough, it's waste and wastewater management.
Mm-hmm.
And they have released a whole range of things: nickel, chromium, fluorides, phosphorus, nitrogen, chlorides, and carbon, including CO2
Mm-hmm.
and 3. So, nice people to get your water from. Yum.
Thank you, Jonathan. I really like this. I really like how you also showed that you create new views from the data, because I think it's very important and that data analysis is basically taking the data, putting it together, taking it apart, creating new views, tossing it about, filtering it, sorting it. That's what data analysis is, and with questions, of course, that you have connected to that, and then saving these views. I think it's a very that's a golden tip for sure.
Yeah, and then the thing is, if you do it from the main data, I could have done all this from the main data. It would take me longer, but then what am I going to do? I'm either going to forget what I've done. I'm going to need make some notes of what I filtered for and what I found, or I'm going to have to copy and paste those bits of data. I could do exactly what I have here. I could go to the main data and I could filter for Serbia and the facility, and then I could copy and paste it. I've just noticed, by the way, one facility has 2 different names, which is interesting.
I see that, yeah.
So that would be, one of them is issued by the EEA, and one is by SEPA, which is probably the Serbian, I'm guessing, some kind of environmental agency in Serbia.
Mm-hmm.
But I would check that. I'm not just going to guess that. So, oh yeah, I could probably, would you like me to make a map?
Well, I would love to see a map, Jonathan.
Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take Serbia, all facilities, and I'm going to take the top 10, because I can't make a map of everything. It's too big. So I'm going to take a largest to smallest, and then I'm going to make sure that I have got the top 10 of these. This is just Serbia's all their facilities. So I'm going to copy down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Copying that, I'm going to make a new sheet, which you can't see, don't worry. I'm just pasting that. And now, because I have to save this as a separate file, I'm just doing a standard, save this as a CSV file, and I'll keep talking while I'm doing that. I've just got to give it a title and find it again. And it's right. I've got a new file called Serbian Facilities. I have saved it. You haven't seen that, but I'm going to have to now switch to a different screen. Just a moment. So I'm going to use Google My Maps, and I just need to do one important thing, which is to change what screen I'm using, and it should be, where is it? Why? Sorry. I'm going to use the whole screen. I'm sorry, it's going to show you as well. It's going to be, oh no, I can't do that. That's
Whoa.
far too complicated. Sorry, I can't do that.
We were practicing earlier today with Jonathan,
And we
and
didn't
Jonathan
practice this.
said, never do maps live.
Yeah, and this has proved my point. I don't understand why it won't let me.
If you have any questions, by the way, about the process that we did until now, please think about that, toss them in the chat. So we still have 15 minutes to chat about whatever interests you before we leave. This can be related to Excel. It can also be related to data journalism in general. Yeah, whatever comes into mind. If you need tips or if you want to share something from your practice, a problem, uh, feel free to ask.
Oh, now it's not letting me screen share. That's very odd. Right. Are you now? Aha. Right. Okay.
Hey.
So now I'm sorry about that. So here is what I'm going to do. I'm going to import the file, which I already created. Won't take a moment. And it's Serbian Facilities. So I give it Serbian Facilities, and you simply have to tell it, it's already worked out that latitude is good for showing one thing. And I want to say the facility name is going to be the label, and I will wait. And it has now made me a map. So you have to upload CSV file, which I made Serbian Facilities. I could do individual styles, which would be using the pollutant, let's say. And now it colors it according to, so I'll change that to Serbian Facilities and save that. And there we are.
Pretty cool.
It seems to be along the Sava.
Along the river, yeah. You see that very well there.
Yeah, is that a Duna? Yeah. And then something in Belgrade that we already saw. So that's kind of cool that we've done all that within sort of 40 minutes of starting. So I've made a map of, let's say, suspicious places, things to look at in Serbia that we'd like to investigate further.
Yeah, lovely. Thank you, Jonathan. I'm happy you did the map in the end.
So am I, in the end. Sorry for the moment.
Yeah, so we have a question already. And this is a question that, of course, was bound to come. Are there any AI LLM tools that can directly help me to visualize and search through public data or datasets I upload? Or if they can't treat the data directly, are there prompts that will guide me?
That's a very good question. There are things you can do, and I have to confess, I have not done them. You can see on my screen here, I have Copilot
Mm-hmm.
because of the Microsoft account. I could ask it. Let's see what happens. I've never used Copilot. I could do it live. That could be really scary. Use the power of AI to explore your data. Oh, I've got to store it in OneDrive. So I'll close that one and open, and then use this one. Let's see. Right. So I've clicked on Copilot within this, which because it's already stored in which let's see which country emits the most. Let's do one that we know the answer to. Arsenic.
Oh.
Well, actually, because I have it on Serbia all facilities, it's chosen Serbia because I was on that particular. I was in a hurry to show you Copilot. So it's if I go back to the original data, which is all the data, I have to close Copilot. But you get the idea. You can ask it a question. Here's the
Yeah,
main one.
if you
I'll
if
ask it
you if you used it in Excel.
again.
Somebody's asking if it's possible to download the map that you made, Jonathan.
Yeah. I have to give you a link. Just a minute. Can you share in the chat, Ada?
I will, yes.
Do it two ways. I have to share it to you, and you can share it to them. So that map, I've got to find it again now. Hold on. See all my emails. Where is my? You get a prize if you can identify that city really fast.
I had this
Oops, wrong.
I had the same screensaver. I
I,
think we
I
used
know
the
what it is. It
same.
took me ages ago to do it. Sorry,
This
what? I've got to find my. Oh yeah, where was my
map.
map? It must be here. Yeah. Are you seeing that?
Yeah.
So now I can share it.
Yeah, you can do different things to it. I don't know exactly what you mean with downloading the map because you can make a picture of a map. Um,
I first of all got to share it, then I can share
yeah.
it. I
We
haven't
can
officially.
we can share that later in the
Yeah, we'll have to do that later. Yeah. Okay.
description. But
All right.
going and then somebody asks if you can show how you added the data to this map
Oh yeah.
again.
Um, so let's go.
Add layer, right?
No.
Ah.
The upload is here. I'll have to start a new map. If I go back one,
Mm-hmm.
create new map. You can see I've made quite a few maps. So let's import. You never take. I could take all the data and it would break it. You really don't want more than 20 or 30 points that are going to be on the map. Otherwise, it's just impossible. So if I just go back, I'm doing the same as I did before. I'm taking Serbian facilities, and it finds, that's not me ticking it, it finds longitude and latitude are already there. It's recognized, I don't know how, that those are relevant for putting the position. So I click continue, and then I'll take the facility name as a marker. And then what I did after that was, where we've got individual styles, you can change that to, let's take it as a sector name this time. And it should, yeah, it's done waste and wastewater and energy.
Mm-hmm.
So we can then hover And if I click on it, it tells me what that place was.
Yeah, we will share this map with you later. Thank you, Jonathan. Thank you for showing
Okay.
it. I would like to get back on those ended LLM questions. Sorry to jump
Yeah.
back and forth like that. Um, there is this Copilot in Excel, of course, and maybe Jonathan, you can ask it to do some of the same things that it
Yeah.
also actually suggests.
But you see, it's asking you things like, how do I sum values based on? But why don't I say, which Polish, I'm going to be really, which Polish power plant emitted the most in 2018? See if it can do that. I've not
Perfect.
used this before, as you see, but it'll always work on it. Um, the trouble with this for me is you don't know exactly what it's done. I mean, you have
Mm,
to check the answer really. It is
yeah.
doing the correct, it's analyzing A1 to Q 24001, which is all the data. And it's somehow, let's see if it gets the right answer. But I was going to say, if you do a scripting language like R or Python, then it's much easier to see what's going on, and it writes code for you, can run or not run. So it's telling me that it's gonitstwo energetyka konwencjonalną, blah, 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 in Dolna Odra. So do you want me to check that then? I suppose I ought to, shouldn't I?
Yeah.
Right. So I'll go back. I
I
ought to
mean,
check it. That
I
means you.
hmm?
Sorry. Go ahead.
No, I wanted to say like if you use a scripting language, as you said, like R or Python, you can use any tool as well, right? With you can
Yeah.
use
Yeah. Because then you can see what it's telling you to do. So I want the country
exactly.
name, and I want the sector name in the filters, and I want let's see the facility name. We'll do down there, and the time of emissions. So we change that. Poland. We want energy, and just
Mm-hmm.
make sure that that is sort largest to smallest. It's given me a different answer. That was the one it chose, was
Mm-hmm.
Gornictwo Energetyka Konwencjonalna, and this one is actually the right answer, I think.
Looks like it.
And the trouble is, as we were saying, we don't know exactly what Copilot did. And go back, like switch Copilot back on. It does show you this. I analyzed data, and here's what I found: top facility name by emissions, country name, da da da. No, it's found 3.5. Oh, I said 2018. I beg its pardon. Let's be fair, compare like with like. So I'll put another thing, which is the reporting year. I forgot my own question. Put that in the filter as well. And now I'll say 2018, and I'm about to be proved wrong, of course, or it's going to be proved right. There you go. That is the correct one, and that is the right answer. Yes, it did do it right, but you do need to check it. It could get it wrong for a number
It
of reasons.
actually didn't, because as you can see that facility is twice in there. So yes, but no.
Yes, that's a good point.
Yeah.
If we did it the proper way, well, it means that the pivot is showing the reason that. Hang on a minute. Oh no, one's in Dolna Odra and the other one's in
Ah,
Opole.
okay. You're right.
So it's correct. It is correct.
Could you talk somewhere else, please?
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry,
So
we got 3 more minutes, I think.
yeah.
Any
So
more questions?
you can also if you wanna use LLMs in your workflow, you can also actually ask them to teach you this, right? You also don't have
Yes.
to, you don't
How
have
do I
to,
do this? Yeah.
how do I do this in Excel? How do I do this in Python or whatever? And I I think I might be too old, Jonathan, already because I really have some sort of I have this appreciation for craftsmanship, right? And then if you know how things works, while yeah, if we applied it to other things, like I also I don't know how to make most of the things I use. Um,
It's a very good point,
yeah.
actually. The craftsmanship. And yeah, I feel slightly uneasy asking Copilot to do things, or I've done a few things with ChatGPT. And I even, one night, I was testing ChatGPT with R, and I had set it so that if I paused in my script writing for 3 seconds, it would suggest the script for me. And I don't normally code in front of the telly, but I was watching the news and I stopped to watch an item. And when I looked back at my screen, it had gone off in a complete tangent. It had gone off and it just kept writing code while I was not doing anything except watching TV. And it went down a whole alleyway of analysis that I wasn't going to do. And I had to get rid of it all. It didn't perform the script.
Mm-hmm.
It just suggested it. And if I pressed tab, it would have put that in my script, and I still could have refused to run it because it's still in my script and not acted on.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just amazing that I don't know how many seconds, maybe 45 seconds of not doing anything. It just carried on. It's like, you're not happy. I'm going to keep talking to you until you say something. And it just kept on and on writing code. Some of the code was accurate, but it wasn't doing what I wanted to do.
Maybe we should do I think that a question of AI and LLMs is it's a session on its own. I think we can do one about one a special on those.
That's a good idea. And
Yeah.
we could road test it and actually try to get it to do things
There's
and
like
see if a human being beats it.
the newest Claude from Anthropic is actually very good at coding, but we still have two more questions. Let's address them very quickly. One of them is how do we know how these data were collected?
Good question. Any good data publisher will also publish a data dictionary. So how did that data get there? In the case of the EEA, that's true. You can read, there's loads of website pages and also some PDF files you can read of how they compile the data, and what each number actually means and how it gets into the column it's in. So how does it qualify? Sometimes there's a British one I'm thinking of where it says it's to do with property prices, and it says the price has to be the market value. It can't be sort of one of those things where somebody does a special deal and gets it for £100 or something. But there are plenty in there that are £100 when they should be market value. So it says it's market value, but you can see it's not. So I don't really know how to treat that.
Mm.
I have tried talking to them, but they don't answer all my questions. Yeah, that's a different thing. But the EEA is very well documented, and it's one of those things. If you can find data and not see where it's really come from, it might not be on an official website, and you think it's so good, it's telling me something. But it's like finding something scribbled on a seat of a bus when you sit down. You go, am I going to run that as a story? No, I might read it. It's quite interesting, but I'm going to check every letter of this note. So the same thing. You find a data frame and you go, oh, it's really lovely, but how did it get there? What do those numbers mean? Who put them there? How was it collected? So I need to find out. And so usually a data dictionary is your friend, and it's worth spending time reading it. And of course, we didn't have a lot of time in the session, so we did just jump straight in. But I wouldn't normally just jump straight in.
No, you really need to check your sources, as with
Great
everything.
question.
And the last question that we're gonna address now is, have you used something like KNIME? I don't know what it is. Before to analyze or clean up data? Is it worth to have a deeper look into it, or should we directly learn Python or R? Do you know about KNIME, Jonathan?
I don't know about. I've seen
I
the
think
name
I've
once
heard
and never
about it.
touched it.
I think it's like an ETL tool. I
I have
never
to look
used
it
that,
up.
so
No,
I can't really say.
but I do. If we're talking about cleaning the data before you do anything with it, I do use Open Refine. We could do a whole session on Open Refine.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of my favorite tools. That's free, and it does really clever things. To like, it would decide. If that the difference between these two PGEs in Poland was actually the same one, but with different spelling, or just one letter was different, it would spot that. It might suggest that these are the same, but when you look and see that the place is different, you realize it is different.
Mm.
So it would Open Refine would probably suggest that as a possible match, and you can decide as a human being whether you accept that as a match or not.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to know a little bit.
Yeah.
But I will look into KNIME, and thanks for that question.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you for everybody who was here. We're gonna end here, and we hope to see you in the upcoming sessions. Again, we have one on Google Sheets, which is very similar to this one in 2 weeks. And after once, there are two sessions, one of them about R and one of them about Python. So have a lovely evening, everybody. Thank you, Jonathan.
Thanks very much, Ada. Thanks very much for joining us, everybody else.
Yeah, have a lovely evening.
Bye.
Goodbye.